evening and welcome to the evening news for today, Monday, January 9, 2023. I am Jemima Holmes. Thank you for tuning in. Now let's take a look at some of the lead stories tonight. President Ali pitches investment opportunities to Indian private sector. President Ali joins world leaders in condemning attack on Brazil's democracy. Leopold street man gunned down in Georgetown. Man murdered after trying to protect father-in-law from attackers. And the teen allegedly drowns at LINDEN'S Blue Lake. Now for the news in detail. President Dr. Irfan Ali, who is leading a Guyanese delegation to India, where he will be presented with the prestigious Pravasi Bharatiya Samman Award, also used the opportunity to pitch Guyana's investment opportunities to the Indian private sector. Here are the details from Jarrell Bryan.
In his address to attendees at the inaugural session of the 17th Pravasi Bharatiya Divas 2023 on Monday, President Dr. Irfan Ali spoke about ties between the two countries. According to him, Guyana has benefited from robust cooperation with India since diplomatic relations were established in 1965. Noting that Guyana is one of the fastest growing economies in the world, President Ali made a pitch to Indian investors to explore opportunities in Guyana.
Guyana is now a much stronger economy than it has ever been. It is now the fastest growing economy in the world, registering a real GDP growth of 19.9% in 2021 and growth for 2022 estimated at more than 50%. On this note, Prime Minister Sri Narendra Modi, I assure you that the economic opportunity, growth, and potential of Guyana is open to the entire private sector of India to participate fully and to be involved in the transformation that is taking place. The country's economy is now in a full takeoff mode of development. This transformative stage of economic development is spawning massive economic opportunities across almost all sectors of the economy.
According to the president, his government's intention is to position Guyana to be among the leaders in the world in energy, climate and food security and other areas. He also spoke about the model the government is pursuing to best integrate the diaspora into the development of the country.
Guyana is mindful of the experience of other countries, which have experienced rapid growth, but also led to socioeconomic inequalities. As such, we have embraced a One Guyana agenda, which promotes greater unity and shared prosperity amongst all of our people. Our diaspora is integral to the One Guyana agenda. As such, Guyana is now embracing a diaspora integration model. This flows from our belief that diasporas should not be treated as entities that are peripheral to nationhood.
President Ali and his delegation were also special invitees to a trade expo and cultural show on Sunday in Indore, Madhya Pradesh, India. Jarrell Bryan, The Evening News.
Attacks on government buildings in Brazil following the ascension of President Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva after his election victory have been condemned by leaders around the world, including Guyana's President Irfan Ali. Here is Jarrell Bryan again with the details.
On Sunday, supporters of Brazil's far-right former President Jair Bolsonaro attacked the country's Supreme Court and surrounded the presidential palace. President Dr. Irfan Ali joined a number of world leaders in condemning the anti-democratic attacks. In his statement, Ali made it clear that those who use violence to subvert democracy must be brought to swift justice. The president went on to call on all stakeholders to be responsible and not be a part of such unacceptable behavior. He also made it clear that Guyana stands with the law-abiding people of Brazil as well as Brazilian institutions. The Caribbean community also denounced the attacks and called for those responsible to be brought to justice. Following the attacks on Brazilian institutions, President Lula da Silva at a press conference had blamed his predecessor. For his part, Bolsonaro flew to Florida 48 hours before his mandate ended. He was absent from Lula's inauguration. Jarrell Bryan, The Evening News.
Hinterland and rural areas of the country can look forward to more technical programs under the Guyana Online Academy of Learning to enhance their skills for the benefit of their communities. Rupa Sinarayan tells us more.
Government launched the certificates program under the Gold Scholarship 2023 in Bartica, Region 7. Public Service Minister Sonia Parag informed that no formal education is needed to apply for the certificates program. Last year, the number of applications from the region was quite low, and she urged a turnaround in these figures for 2023.
I think for the hinterland and the rural areas in our country, it is more programs that will help you to develop a technical skill set that you can use in your community, that you can use to empower yourself, whether it be financially or you just want to be able to have something higher than CXC.
Parag added that as the year progresses, more undergraduate and postgraduate programs will become available, as well as those in the technical areas.
It is something that not only moves you to a higher education, but it's an all-round development for the country. Right? It does not obligate you to the government, like the Public Service Ministry Scholarship, which obligates you to the government because we're training you specifically to come back and work in the public sector. This allows you to be self-employed. It allows you to work in the private sector. It allows you also to apply for jobs in the public sector.
Parliamentary Affairs and Governance Minister Gil Teixeira encouraged persons within the communities to take up these opportunities.
The GOLD program is trying to make sure you have skills, that you're qualified, that you're marketable, that you can get jobs. And it's no shame on anybody if you didn't finish secondary school. That's okay. We can fix that. People must never be ashamed that they didn't finish school.
Rupa Sinarain, The Evening News.
A new facility located at Landscape Street, Georgetown, has been opened whereby young children can have a space to develop their creativity while providing parents with childcare services. Here is more.
Peony Bear Gymboree is owned by Miriam Andrew Ming. The facility is expected to feature activities such as katak, martial arts, ballet, contemporary dance, and yoga, as well as family classes. Speaking during the recent opening ceremony, Human Services Minister Dr. Vindhya Prasad said this initiative aligns with the ministry's vision for children all across Guyana.
The idea of having a space within the first few years of childhood aligns with the early childhood development concept, where we focus on children 0 to 5 years old and ensure, one, that they're able to be in an environment where creativity knows no bounds, no limits, but they're also in an environment where they could be observed and perhaps in some levels screened for many of the things we want to be aware of very early in their lives.
The minister also shared the importance of a child's early childhood development as she commended the team of Gymboree for introducing creative learning to the market.
Giving a child the opportunity to just look beyond the mundane and the routine ways of learning really creates the kind of foundation that we want every child to benefit from.
The owner of Gymboree assured that the support offered to parents will be top-notch.
I understand that there are issues with planning for parenthood and afterwards. So I saw the need for support groups that will enhance family time, that will allow us to speak openly, freely, and deal with issues that we know we are being faced with. And that's why we have 2 medical persons who will guide our family classes. Those classes will include mommy and me groups, daddy and me groups, as well as planning for parenthood groups.
A Leopold Street, Georgetown man who was no stranger to law enforcement officials was today gunned down in a drive-by shooting in the capital city. Find out more in this report.
Dead is 33-year-old Anthony Charles, also known as Skiddle, of Leopold Street, Georgetown. In a statement, police said the man was walking along Durban Street in the company of another when a silver-gray Allion motorcar bearing registration number PVV 5906 approached them from behind. The occupants in the vehicle then began to open fire at the duo, causing Charles to fall to the ground while the other person escaped. The other person, identified as 43-year-old Dexter Lawrence, told investigators that whilst running away, he looked back and saw a man exit the vehicle, went up to Charles and discharged several rounds at him. The suspect quickly entered the car, which drove away at a fast rate of speed. Lawrence received a bruise to his right lower hand, which he said was caused by a bullet, but Charles was riddled with gunshot wounds. There were 3 to his neck, 1 to his right jaw, 1 to his left jaw, 1 to his left-sided forehead, 1 to his right side forehead, 1 to his left hand, 2 to his right side lower back, and 2 to his right shoulder. Police say 9 mm spent shells, 5 warheads, and a metal fragment were found at the scene. Police also said it has been ascertained that the registration plate of the car is fake. Charles was no stranger to law enforcement officials and had been the subject of several police investigations in the past. Investigations into the execution-style killing continues.
Coming up, former Deputy Police Commissioner denies attempts to clear Ashman's building, and Men on Mission builds house in 46 hours for West Coast Burpees pensioner. Do stay with us. More news ahead.
This Christmas, give the gift of life by protecting your loved ones against vaccine-preventable diseases. The Ministry of Health's nightly vaccination campaign continues throughout December at the Ministry of Health tarmac up to 7 p.m., Mondays to Saturdays. Administration of the HPV vaccine for children begins from 9 years old. So come out, adults, and bring your children to get vaccinated against HPV. But that's not all. Since it's a season of giving, we are gifting back to school supplies to children receiving HPV and COVID-19 vaccines throughout December. Adults, gifts for you too when you are vaccinated at the Ministry of Health, Brickdam, on December 25th, 26th, and 31st from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. For more information, contact us at 226-8171 or 226-3103. Vaccinate what you create. A message from the Ministry of Health and UNICEF.
Play and win with Superbet. Visit an agent near you to play all your favorite games. Superbet, your best bet. Must be 18 years and older. Terms and conditions apply. Play responsibly.
Optic offers great patient care that is tailored for my entire family.
At Optic, a wide selection of affordable optical frames and optical services are available to fit your budget.
At Optic, my family is provided with comprehensive eye examination and access to the ophthalmology services, all under one roof.
Optic takes pride in delivering exceptional customer service and a unique experience to you, our customers.
Optic Vision Care is a company that is Guyanese born and grown that will help you take care of your precious eyes.
Premier insurance coverage for less. Stay safe. For bid, performance, retention, advanced mobilisation or customs bonds, bond with us. Fuel your success. Call 223-0840 or visit premierinsurance.gy. Premier Insurance. Premier insurance coverage.
Did you know that when you leave your property unoccupied and unmanaged, it deteriorates much faster than you can imagine? Then before you know it, much of your hard-earned investment is wasted. At Hand in Hand Trust Corporation, property management is our business. Whether you travel for long periods, live overseas, or have several properties that require managing, let us at Hand in Hand Trust Corporation take care of this for you. Your property is safe with us. Hand in Hand Trust Corporation Incorporated, a member of the Hand in Hand Group of Companies.
Welcome back. You're watching the Evening News. A fire last evening erupted at the Vivanta Ayurvedic Spa and Hair Salon located on Church Street, Georgetown. According to a statement from the company, the fire did not affect any buildings and it was swiftly contained and put under control by the Guyana Fire Service with assistance from the community. The company noted, too, that there were no injuries or major material loss resulting from the incident. As such, it said operations will continue to take place as usual. Detectives are probing the alleged drowning of Cam Thomas, an 18-year-old Linden Technical Institute student who resided at Central Amelia's ward, Linden, in Region 10. The 18-year-old allegedly drowned on Sunday between 16:20 hours and 16:46 hours at Blue Lake, Caracara, Mackenzie, while in the company of 4 other friends. According to one of the friends, while at the lake, he and 18-year-old Thomas went into the water and started swimming from the east to the western side. The friend related that he observed Thomas submerged under the water when they were about 20 feet from the eastern shore. The friend said he attempted to rescue Thomas but was unsuccessful. The incident was subsequently reported to the police, who visited the scene. Up to news time, efforts made by the ranks to recover the body proved futile. Police are investigating the alleged murder of Brian Pittam, a 28-year-old DJ of Lot 441, Good Hope, East Coast, Demerara. The incident occurred at around 21 hours last night at Laluni Village on the Susdike-Linden Highway by 3 identifiable males, one of whom is currently in custody. Reports are that Pittam and his father-in-law Kumar Bacchus, a 51-year-old truck driver, were at Laluni imbibing at a shop when the 3 suspects confronted Bacchus and dealt him a lash to his face. Pittam then intervened and was dealt several chops about his body. The trio then rode off on their motorcycles in an unknown direction. Pittam was picked up by public-spirited citizens and rushed to the Georgetown Public Hospital Corporation, where he was pronounced dead on arrival. Investigators observed that Pittam's left thumb, index finger, and middle fingers were severed, along with the left wrist, which was partially severed, and a deep chop wound was found to the back of the neck. We now tell you the data clerk attached to the Guyana Elections Commission, Enrique Livan, who has been embroiled in much controversies in relation to the March 2020 general and regional elections, has opted to remain silent when he appeared before the ongoing Elections Commission of Inquiry. More in this Bisham Mohammed report.
As we speak, Mr. Livan is on Zoom court before Her Worship, the Chief Magistrate and the plenary. And I try to make this as brief as possible so that we can get back on the Zoom for that. She's giving a ruling on a preliminary point for one of the criminal proceedings involving him in which he's a named defendant.
We are aware that you are the subject of certain criminal charges arising out of the March 2020 regional and general elections. As a consequence, Mr. Livan, you are not bound to. You have the right to silence. That is, you're not bound to say anything in accordance with the provisions of the Constitution. You're not bound to respond to any questions put to you by any of the commissioners, nor by counsel for the commission. But simply, you're not bound to testify before us today. What do you wish to do? Sorry.
Mr. Livan, before you answer, in addition to what the chairman has advised you, I'd like to say to you that this commission has evidence before it in which you have been identified with certain events at the Ashman's building in the 5th of March 2020 period. So I ask you to bear that in mind in making your decision.
Yes.
I wish to remain silent.
Thank you very much. You are relieved from attendance.
Thank you.
Those were the proceedings that unfolded at the beginning of Monday's continuation of the Commission of Inquiry into the March 2020 general and regional elections, when GCOM data clerk Enrique Livan was called to the witness stand. Livan is already facing a number of election fraud-related charges regarding the 2020 elections. Livan was the officer involved in the infamous flash drive incident at GCOM Command Center in the Ashman's building at the corner of High and Hatfield Streets at Georgetown. He was embroiled in controversy for leaving the main tabulation room with a laptop during the verification process for Region 4. He is also accused of working with others to unlawfully inflate figures for the 2020 polls to give APNU AFC a victory. A number of persons who have been slapped with similar charges as Livan have already exercised their right to not give evidence during the COI. Those persons include former Region 4 Returning Officer Clement Mingo, former Chief Elections Officer Keith Lewingfield, and former Government Minister Valda Lawrence, among others. Bisham Mohammed, The Evening News.
Also appearing before the COI today was former Deputy Police Commissioner Maxine Graham, who vehemently denied that she made attempts to clear out the Region 4 Command Center at Ashman's building as part of efforts to derail the 2020 electoral process. Here is Bisham Mohammed again with the details.
Edgar Thomas previously told the COI that he was relieved of his command of Division A because he refused to comply with instructions from the then Deputy Chief Elections Officer Roxanne Myers to clear out Ashman's building, leaving statements of poll for Region 4 unprotected. Thomas, who now serves as Assistant Police Commissioner and head of the Presidential Guard, had accused former Deputy Police Commissioner of Operations Maxine Graham of carrying out those orders on March 5, 2020. But Graham, who appeared before the Commission on Monday, denied those claims.
We have evidence before this Commission that you called Officer Thomas and told him that all party representatives and observers must vacate Ashman's building. We have evidence before this Commission of that you were called by Thomas and you called Thomas and you told him all party representatives and observers must vacate the building. First thing, what do you say to that?
That is untrue. Total untruth.
And Thomas told you that a GCOM commissioner was there and there was concern about the security of the statements of polls. Did Thomas not say that to you?
We had no discussion about that matter, none whatsoever.
And we have evidence before this Commission that Ms. Myers asked you to send Senior Superintendent Azor instead.
That is not true, madam. Not true.
And we have evidence before this Commission that shortly after you spoke to Ms. Myers, Senior Superintendent Azor arrived at Ashman's building.
Well, I cannot say if he arrived or not, but that is not true. I did not speak to Ms. Myers on that day.
In fact, Graham, who was the police force's liaison officer with GCOM, denied making any contact with Myers on the day in question. She also denied sending the Tactical Services Unit to the Ashman's building, claiming to only learn that it was the former top cop Leslie James during a subsequent meeting.
Who made the disclosure that the TSU ranks had cleared the building of political party personnel?
Mr. Thomas indicated in the meeting that TSU arrived and he was not informed the night. And Commissioner indicated to him that he is the person that sent the Tactical Services Unit. But I cannot say if it's to clear the building, to secure the building, I cannot say. But he told Mr. Thomas, I am the person that give the instructions for TSU to go to the Ashman's building.
James previously testified that he sent the TSU to secure, not clear out, the building. But he said even though the ranks violated his order, he did not take any actions to reprimand them. James also testified that he had reassigned Thomas after not being able to make contact with him. Thomas was replaced by his deputy Philip Azor. James said Graham was instructed to communicate this decision to Thomas, but Graham argued before the COI that it was not her responsibility to do so, that it was the top cops. Bisham Mohammed, The Evening News.
Acting President Mark Phillips on Sunday handed over a new house to a West Berbice pensioner as part of Men on Mission initiative. The 71-year-old Lawawati Ramrup had been experiencing difficulties acquiring funding to repair her home, which was falling apart and on the verge of collapse. Andrew Carmichael has that story.
Like how the rain fall, the whole place get wet. When they wouldn't see the house, the boat fall out, I have to put salt back. And all the time like that. And I waited and I prayed and I asked God, Lord, I'm giving up unless you do a miracle. And this was a surprise.
That was Lilawati Ramrup called Auntie Vivian of Cotton Tree Village, West Coast Berbice, describing the conditions she lived under before the structure was torn down last week, Monday. It took 46 hours to put the new one-bedroom house into place. Project coordinator Faisal Jaffarali explained that he reached out to the private sector and they readily accepted. Both contractors from Region 5 and Region 6 pooled resources, including providing labor to have the building demolished and replaced. The Guyana Power and Light and the Guyana Water Inc. also played their part in ensuring a fresh start for Auntie Vivian. One of the donors, Keen Reed, pointed out that it was a privilege to be able to serve.
When I get that call that morning from the chairperson of the CDC group, I brought the engineer and he immediately went to work. I called one particular comrade, Mr. Aubrey David. I said, Aubrey, this is happening. Aubrey says he's on board Prime Minister. And within a minute, he called back to say, Mr. Jaffarali, you have a second person who's coming on board. This is a kind of response that we had. I called Mr. Reed. Prime Minister, these persons who contributed financially also provide labor. They work when came and spent hours with us to ensure that we're able to done this house in a timely manner.
This project was made possible through donorship from, as Mr. Ricardo mentioned, the private sector. And this came about due to an initiative with the brainchild of His Excellency, the Men on Mission program. And during the launching of that program, a couple of call to actions were made. We were called to be supportive of each other, to help to develop community projects, along with mental health issues and a few other things. Now, because of this, as soon as Mr. Jaffarali called on us to support this project and told us about Aunt Viv's plight at that moment, we jumped on the opportunity.
Acting President Mark Phillips said he was honored to be happy to hand over the new building to the pensioner. According to him, the goal is to have 150 such projects around the country this year.
Men on Mission was launched by His Excellency President Dr. Mohamed Irfan Ali sometime late last year. And, in keeping with the One Guyana initiative. And they've been literally on the ground from the time the Men on Mission was launched, right? Making interventions to improve the lives of vulnerable people throughout Guyana.
I'm pleased to report, Mr. Prime Minister, that we have got some savings and I'm looking for the second house in Region 5.
This house rescued me from a lot of things. Rescued me from the rain, rescued me from the sun, rescued me from my sickness.
Andrew Carmichael, The Evening News.
And now for a look at the bridge reports.
The Demerara Harbor Bridge is scheduled to be closed on Tuesday, January 10th at 4:15 hours for a period of 1.5 hours. Meanwhile, the Berbice River Bridge is scheduled to be closed on Tuesday, January 10th at 6:30 hours for a period of 1.5 hours.
President's Cup had well-executed vision, says Garrett, and Ninval optimistic of another successful year for NSC. Details of these stories in the Sportcast, sponsored by MacCorp, coming up on the other side of the break.
This Christmas, give the gift of life by protecting your loved ones against vaccine-preventable diseases. The Ministry of Health's nightly vaccination campaign continues throughout December at the Ministry of Health tarmac up to 7 p.m., Mondays to Saturdays. Administration of the HPV vaccine for children begins from 9 years old. So come out, adults, and bring your children to get vaccinated against HPV. But that's not all. Since it's a season of giving, we are gifting back to school supplies to children receiving HPV and COVID-19 vaccines throughout December. Adults, gifts for you too when you are vaccinated at the Ministry of Health, Brickdam, on December 25th, 26th, and 31st from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. For more information, contact us at 226-8171 or 226-3103. Vaccinate what you create. A message from the Ministry of Health and UNICEF.
Credit! Yeah, ready? We are so far. Look along me tell you buy one generator. Now the picnic online test and blackout come and cut off everything. Sorry, son. Radhika, Abby go tomorrow. Abby go now.
At Sylvie's, we stock products from more than 22 different sectors in mining, construction, food processing, vulcanizing, home improvements, and more.
Are you getting generator?
So this is a 3000 better size generator. This can work for your lights, your fan, your TV, and your fridge.
Well, Abby can buy one for Abby and
Yes.
Abby can buy one for Mommy too.
Yeah, and mommy can even key start it, cause all you have to do is hook up the battery and
Visit us today at 31 High in Hatfield Street, where our friendly and knowledgeable team members are willing to assist you. You can also call us on 227-6243 or WhatsApp us on 623-7755 and shop via our website at www.sylviesonline.com.
Abby go buy one doll pulling mill?
One plucking machine, one pressure washing machine, one juice dispenser, one engine, one pepper grinding machine, one water pump, one sugar cane juicer, circle sir. We gotta get alright then food warmer. We gotta get. What are you looking at?
This Christmas, guess what? You're guaranteed to save big right at National Hardware Limited. Shopping for Christmas trees? We've got all sizes from the traditional to the ones with a modern twist. Garlands, wreaths, lights, and Christmas inflatables are what you need to bring that Christmas cheer. Out with the old and in with the new. We've got curtains, carpets, and so much more to spruce up your home for the holidays. Save time too, and get presents for both boys and girls, whether big or small. National Hardware has you covered, in more ways than one this holiday season. Check out our superstore at 13 to 14 Industrial Site, Rumvelt. Telephone number 231-1091-95. Or downtown at 17 to 19A Water Street. Telephone number 227-1961.